So this is SY Sublime. Something happened with my camera, so I'm just in the middle of making some bias binding. So I got the crease C nice and level from the middle back here from the last video all the way up to the top. And I did have to orientate the fabric so I could get a crease on it. So you're going to make a crease where this will fold into. Back. Yeah, this is going to be a pocket. There's going to be a crease along there, and that's where you're going to cut. So you get this nice and pocket, and then you're going to crease along here. So now I've got that creased. This is where you're going to unfold it, and then you're going to make your cut line. You can unfold it all, or you could cut it at this point. I mean, I didn't unfold it. I mean, I have to unfold it because you can. So I made my crease line. So now I'm going to cut along this line that I made along here with scissors. I'll come back to you after I get that done, so I need 2 hands. Okay, so now I've cut my fabric, and the length of it is 1170 millimeters, and for you Americans, 46 inches. That's the width, that's the length. So that's over a yard. Actually, I think a meter's 39. Yeah, meters here, so it's over. So a yard, meter, yeah. So anyway, so I got it cut, and now I'm going to show you how to do the folding thing again. So this is just so you can fold and cut straight off the roll that I've got. I just showed you that. So what I'm going to do now is do the folding thing again, but now I've got less fabric to pull around. I can get better creases and better folds. So I got the first crease done. I'm just going to pause this real quick, and then I would make that first crease again. So I made the first fold again from point. This is point A over to point A to point A, and then I'm going to do point B, which is this one over here. So point B to point B, right? So then you're going to get this all level, evened up with the edge. This is critical. The edge is critical to get lined up, because this is the part you're going to actually cut off. So then I'm going to make another crease down here. So I didn't have my camera going. Damn it. So anyway, so what I'm doing is I'm going to be bringing this over here like that. And as I said before, I thought that this other side was the critical one. It's not. This one here is the critical for the bias. You got to keep this nice and level, nice and flush with each other, because you're going to be cutting this end piece off of your envelope. Okay. So I'm going to make a crease. I'm going to make a crease down here. And then finally your last fold is going to be this one over the top, like that. And then you're going to make that a crease too. So now that we've got this all nicely folded up into our little packet, I don't have any paper clips, wish I did, or pony clamps. So what you got to do, you're going to end up cutting this part off, okay? And then that's going to start your bias binding. Then you're going to cut these up in 1 3/4 increments all the way along. So I'll be right with you once I get the end cut off. So get your ruler or your straight edge, whatever you're going to be using, and get it as close to the edge as possible, but make sure everything's underneath. You don't want to have cut you don't want to have a half cut where just some of it, like right here, where this little piece here is tucked underneath. So if I cut here, it will miss that, and that will be still intact. So you got to make sure that everything's pulled out and flush, so you can get a nice cut line. So I've got everything pulled out nice and flush. See, right there. And also the inside folds have to be butted up against the inside of these too. So make sure that everything's correct before you cut. You know what they say, measure twice, fuck it up once. So this is how I do it. So I'm going to get ready to cut, and I've got my straight edge, and it's all it's about, I don't know, 5mm away from the very edge, 1/4 inch for the Americans. Anyway, so that's ready to go. So everything's lined up and ready to go, and I'm getting ready to cut. So now I've done my first cut. That's really hard with those scissors. You might want to get some bigger shears than what I have. I have some like Ginga 8-inch Ginga ones. Or you could actually use a guillotine. If you have a guillotine, that'd be a good idea. But that I cut okay. I'm not real. I wasn't a great. The start was so. This part at the start was so bulky. It's not like you're cutting fashion fabric. It's all Sunbrella canvas, so it's pretty thick. But that's all my wastage off the end, which is not very much. This stuff's expensive, so you don't want to waste it. But this is no big deal. All this stuff will get folded underneath. See how I mean by cut all of your creases? See how I missed here? So I'm going to have to get my scissors. Run my scissors up inside of there and cut that off. Can't really see that. So I gotta get my scissors up in here. Let's come over there. Yeah, close enough. It's okay. So anyway, that's what I mean by you gotta make sure you get all these lined up, because they will hide and they'll be. But it's no big deal to fix it like I just did. So now the next thing is I've got to cut this bias binding up in strips, because they don't make bias binding in ginkgo green like I have, and they don't make thread in ginkgo green either, which I really wanted. So I think they make the matching thread that goes with the matching Sunbrella, but they don't. So anyway, so I've got that done. I'm going to have the same trouble with this again, with cutting through this first bulky part. This part back here is pretty light. It's easier and easier as you go all the way along. So I'm going to have to, I think at this time I might use a hot knife, but hopefully not set it on fire, which is a possibility. So that's why I decided to use scissors and a hot rod. This thing is not deep enough to cut all through that thick fabric. It just doesn't do it. You have to make multiple passes. This is absolutely useless for cutting this with, unless you have a big one, or you could use a foam saw. You could use a saw, or maybe a kitchen knife. You could use a serrated kitchen knife or a foam saw or something to do that with. So I'm going to mark up my next cut, and then I'm going to show you that I'm going to cut my first bias bindings for this. So I've got all my bias binding lines marked out. That's what you need to set up some pencil for. Well, you don't have to, but that's what I do, just as a guide to show you. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 strips. These ones on the end probably won't be that long. They'll probably be out maybe, I don't know, 300-400 in diameter, in length for the Americans. I don't know, 12 to 16 inches. Anyway, so I'm going to cut these up now. I'm going to do These ones are back from probably from here backwards. Could probably be done with scissors, but these ones here, I think I'm going to use the hot knife because this stuff is really thick back here. And I'll try the hot knife and hopefully not catch the Sunbrella or my boat on fire. Oh yeah, as you probably noticed, I did orientate it. I did have it facing this way before. I did orientate it because I'm losing my eyesight, so I did put it this way so the light can come in, so I can see the lines better, so I can mark better, so sequentially mark them better. So I'm going to get the cutting, and then I'm going to show you what the tape looks like after I've cut it. So I cut one piece off with the hot knife. I got through the bulk of it. It did burn a little bit of the top of it, but this is the first strip, and it's all bound together because it's all melted. This is my first bias strip that I made. So this is the first one, which turned out pretty good. There's a couple of little offcuts there. So what I did, I started with the hot knife, went through the bulk of it, and then I finished off with the scissors on the very bottom. It's really tough to cut. It's really hard to cut. It's okay, I guess, but yeah, it's alright. I mean, once it goes through the tape maker, and I put seam stick on here, you won't even see it. So this will be all folded over inside. So once I get all this stitched together, so that's the first one. So now I'm going to cut